just barely catches it. Now Limon is going to try and overtake on Fonseca. Fonseca gives that one up, almost a little too wide there for Limon. Holds tough and sending it deep around the banking, and Shell Oil, he's going to take the spot back. Fonseca, that was a brilliant move. This is full drift here from the Japanese driver. Watch this. Unreal. That car should not be still going. That is just seat-of-your-pants stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just kind of landed a little bit wrong for him, but fortunately, at least pointed in the right direction. This was crazy, though.
And hasn't been shaken, but man, they see close to that wall.
Look at it. Look at the oversteer. He looks to the inside. Michael tried to cover off. He's going to squeeze him down a little bit. Tries to open up the corner. Cut back and see if he can get the launch, and it's much quicker off. Oh, but he covers him down to the inside.
Oh my goodness, covers him down to the inside. I think there may have been a little bit of contact there, but Michael Johnson going to get the benefit of the draft here. You can see him closing down on the back of the 79. And there's the late move from Michael going down to the inside, trying to get into the braking zone.
The red mist is up for these two, and down into the braking. Can Johnson get it done? Yes, he does. Don't count out Travis. Tries to cut back. Goes the long way around. Nothing doing. No, he holds tight. He could try and get it in there. No, now he starts to fall back.
Starts to fall back. Going to try to send it a little bit on the outside of 15. Sometimes you can get a crossover there, but not going to work. He's going to have a wider line now into Turkey to try to carry a little bit more speed, but he's not going to find an easy way to try to get on by. And indeed, Michael Johnson just slides that car off the apex a little bit to prevent off any attack.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Yeah. It's crunch time. With only one round of racing to go after this, it's time for everyone in these two series to bring their best and make it count. It's round 9 of Thursday nights at the Precision Racing League, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Reese Gardner, and with me in the booth is Michael Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The Ferrari Fixed Challenge is racing at Laguna Seca, a track that should be familiar to all iRacers on the roadside. Why don't we refresh ourselves anyway and see what makes this circuit such a challenge?
Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2¼ miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the Corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come.
Well, Michael, sorry, this is one of the most historic tracks in America. Been around since the late 1950s, gone through a few layout changes over the years, but it's an absolutely iconic circuit. Every single corner is a challenge.
You can say that again. It really is a challenge going around this track. One, because of the way iRacing has done an absolutely brilliant job in making the track different from lap to lap. One thing that happens here is you get the winds blowing the dirt. As you can see, all this dirt all around the track. That blows out onto the track. So each lap, it's almost like you're driving in the rain. You're out there searching for grip. Now, 11 turns here, depending on how you count them. The Corkscrew, everybody knows the Corkscrew, one of the most famous places. Rainy Curve, where you're really going to make up time. And Andretti Hairpin, another great spot for making up time. Of course, getting around that turn 6 to head up the Rahal Straight, that's a real challenge. But 11 turns here, 2¼ miles-ish, about 3.6 kilometers. And there is always excitement here. This was my favorite track in the United States, in North America even, up until the one here in Austin was built.
Yeah, indeed. It's one of my favorite tracks as well. As you can see, the Corkscrew, a magnificent corner there that should provide an absolute challenge in this broadcast tonight, which is brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate SimRacers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
And finally, PRL is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Well, the championship is pretty much set for the final round, with Alec Bergstrom missing the last round at Barber Motorsports Park. He sits 17 points behind our championship leader, Nick Mclaughlin, who is once again the pace setter here at Laguna Seca. But have a look at how close it can be in the midsection of the top 10. Eric Dubé and David Cristelli have only 6 points between them, Michael. There's potential for quite a big change there.
Yeah, I expect to see maybe a little bit of shuffling in those driver standings, but when we take a look at the team standings, there's a lot more room to shuffle. Viking Hot Rod Racing is out front, 355 points. A single point back, Eagle Vision Racing. 2 points back from there, 3 points off the leader, F-Red Racing, 13 points back, still really close. Clovalve Racing is in 4 with a big jump back to 5th place car Ramrod, YS Motorsports, and Parabola Racing, finishing out 228 points back.
Well, the Ferraris are going to be racing, as I said, for 35 minutes as per usual. It's round 9 of 10. We've only got 1 to go here after this round. Fixed setups, of course, with a drive-through penalty at 13 incidents, disqualification at 17. They're going to have to be careful of the gravel and sand that lines this track. But if you can get the fastest lap, pole position, and 3 incidents or less, that's up to 3 bonus points that you can get.
And those bonus points are going to come in handy when you take a look at those team standings, because, man, that's close. It's 3 points from first to third. So winning those points is going to make a big difference. Now, what's going to make another big difference is which driver is going to sit out front. If I were Nick Mclaughlin here, I would do everything I can to stay away from every other driver and keep my nose clean. There's no point in getting in there and getting into a tussle with anybody. But you want to see a tussle, I think Kenny Duvall's got some team considerations that he's trying to work for here as we watch him turn the fastest lap so far with a 1:21.4. So nice lap.
Yeah, not bad run there to start the first of his 4 laps. David Boucher gets into second, 1.6 seconds back, and Sean Duhamel plus Eric Dubé putting in times as well as Eric Luke. And as Eric Luke goes to the top of the standings, there goes Nick Mclaughlin, a 10th ahead of his teammate. But look at Alec Bergstrom. Wow, only 300ths off. And that will be quite significant there. Number 66, still looking for a win this season. He is second in the championship despite not winning a single race this season. The picture of consistency.
Yeah, and I feel his pain. In one of the series I'm racing, I actually did win 1 race. But every other race, it feels like second, third, fourth is the best I can do. And sometimes I feel lucky to come in second. But you know what? I'm also second in that championship. It's not a bad place to be for him right now. I don't envy him. I actually, like I said, I feel his pain.
I'm sure we'll be feeling Joey Tebbin's pain as well. He's still struggling with those connection issues that he was suffering last week at Barber, and he doesn't quite know what's causing them. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. Hopefully he will be able to make it to the finish. Car Ramrod's Charles Sumner going off track at turn 6. That's a very easy place to go off. And I got to say, Michael, when we get into the racing action, particularly on lap 1, turn 7 is going to be a massive choke point. It's a kink that's cambered inwards with a big curb on the inside. You do not want to go side by side through there.
Well, I don't know. I'm probably going to disagree with you on that one. Turn 7, I don't mind being side by side, especially if I'm the one on the inside, because then I'm in a more advantageous position for the left-hander that comes up after that. So I like being there at turn 9 on that inside bit, because I think I can probably hold on to my position. I'm just fast through that corner though. So turn 8, the corkscrew, it kind of varies. You kind of throw the car in there, let gravity do what it does, and then wherever you come out, you deal with it. And I think I just deal with it better coming through there. I think we're going to see a lot of the same from the top half of our field, trying to get up on the inside as they go into turn 7 into the braking zone, as long as they stay out of the marbles and out of the dirt.
Well, Brian Hoskins keeping it clean on his lap, goes to P14 on a 1 minute 23.1 on his first lap. The times will continue to flow in here as Sean Duhamel comes across the line now. Can he improve on 7th? Unfortunately, no. 2/10 off at the moment. Matthias Arangur comes across the line and improves by 0.3 of a second. That gains him 2 places over Joey Tebben and Spencer Semkovic as Nick Mclaughlin sets a new fastest lap in qualifying. First driver into the 1 minute 20s.
Yep, if I was going to put my money on any driver to do it, well, it was Nick Mclaughlin. We've watched him turn burner after burner, and yep, he did it once again. As we take a look here at David Herbert with Eagle Vision Racing, he is currently in 16th, trying to come around the final corner here. Looks like he's going a little bit wide. I don't know if this is going to make up time for him, but here we come in, 23, 24, and yep, he makes up a couple of tenths.
Well, he'll certainly be able to improve a bit more if he doesn't run deep into the final corner on his next lap. Of course, there was a recent change to the off-track rules at Laguna Seca, which means you can use that green AstroTurf on the exit of the final corner. Looks like Kenny Duval is abandoning his run there. He's happy with P3 for now, but if Eric Luke is able to improve by 1/10 of a second, then Kenny Duval will lose that 3rd place. What about Dave Peterson then? He improved, gets into the 1 minute 21s. Very nice improvement there. That's 3 places gained there, up into P6. Just 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the qualifying session. Sorry, I am still in morning mode here in Western Australia, as there is another fastest lap from Nick Mclaughlin, an extra 10th gained, putting himself now 5/10 ahead of the rest of the field. But Eric Luke improves, goes to a 1:21.3. It is now a 1:2 in qualifying for Cloud Valve Racing.
Yeah, Eric Luke turning a really nice lap there at the end. He's still, though, about a half a second off of his teammate. That's going to be hard to make up, as we watch once again David Herbert trying to just shave off a little bit more. He's almost 4 seconds off our leader, Nick Mclaughlin. But you know what? If I was within 4 seconds of Nick Mclaughlin, I'd feel pretty good, because, man, that guy's fast.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been the star driver of this series. Unfortunately, not an improvement for David Herbert. He made a mistake on that lap, and I don't think the lap counted. I think I would have caught a glimpse of him going wide at the first turn on his lap there, as Joey Tebben improves by 1/10, and unfortunately that is... Oh, it doesn't look like that counted for him. He got an off track on that lap. It's easy to do that all around Laguna Seca. What about Sean Duhamel? No, it's not going to be an improvement for him. A second off his pace. Majority of drivers have set times so far. Charles Sumner has not gotten a time on the board. And Nick Mclaughlin plus Eric Luke doing the wise thing, I would say, and practicing pit entry, because that's very difficult here.
Yeah, the pit entry here is quick back and forth and super tight. You have to go hand over hand to get that entry. And then the exit is almost as difficult, because it's incredibly narrow as you work your way around that hairpin. There is no room for error. You really have to slow the car down, and it makes it very difficult to make up any time through your pit stop rotation.
Yeah, that pit exit is going to be very difficult as well, with a very narrow hairpin. David Herbert then coming across the line. It doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement on his final lap there. He is going to continue to get us some practice in for turn 1, because that's going to be a very important part of the race for sure, going there into the Andretti hairpin. So that's the end of qualifying. Everyone's gotten in the times that they will get, and unfortunately there's a few drivers that will be unhappy with where they are tonight, but I think that Nick Mclaughlin and Eric Luke are going to be very happy with how things have gone for them. They will start on the front row here tonight. with Alec Bergstrom in third place, sharing the second row with Kenny Duval. Very close on times there for second, third, and fourth. That's going to be a heck of a battle. David Cristelli and Dave Peterson fifth and sixth, with Joseph Tebben and Eric Dubé on the fourth row. Top 10 rounded out by Sean Duhamel and Matthias Arangua.
Looking at row number 6 in P11, it's Spencer Simkovich. Alongside him is Donald Olson in 12th. Seventh row, Brian Hoskins with David Boucher. And then Jack Clark and David Hebert on the 8th row in 16th. Charles Sumner on row 9, all by himself. Unfortunately, did not make a time.
He'll be hoping that he has the pace to make up positions throughout this race. Keeping it clean is going to be the name of the game here. Look at how narrow this track is. Obviously, running side by side is possible. Nick Mclaughlin here won't be worrying too much about that. He'll be hoping to get a good jump out of the final corner and get a good run on his teammate Eric Luke. And I think with the pace that Mclaughlin has shown, he won't be able to do much to help out his teammate. Eric Luke is going to have all of the difficulty in the world trying to keep Alec Bergstrom and Kenny Duval behind, because they are looking very consistent.
They are indeed looking consistent, and that's really what matters at this racetrack. You see a lot of people who can come out here and turn a single time trial style fast lap, but then you have to race that lap too, and trying to do that every single round of this racetrack is exceedingly difficult, as we see one car going off even on the pace lap. That's how difficult it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, Joey Tebben, I think, going a little bit too deep into the second or the third turn, I suppose, depending on how you count the corners here. He just posted in the text chat, "You didn't see that." Unfortunately, Joey, we did.
But we didn't attribute it to you, Joey Tebben, not at all. We did not mention you little bit at all.
No, of course. Demonstrating that very difficult turn 7 here. That anti-cut curb on the inside is the bane of my existence whenever I'm racing at Laguna Seca. It's so hard to line up that corner because the run here onto the Rahal Straight is so important. You've got to get a good run down there so you can set up into the corkscrew properly.
Yeah, and those two entries, after you come through that little kink that is turn 7, deciding where you're going to go. Are you going to defend? Are you going to attack? That's the same line. Are you going for a full speed lap? That's staying a little bit wider, but not all the way out to the outside, because it gets really slippery out there as we watch them coming into turn 10, getting ready for the start.
Very difficult corner there as well. Hard banking, and you can carry so much speed into it, but this final corner here, the slowest corner on the track, is going to be so important, with Nick Mclaughlin and Eric Luke drawing side by side on the run to the green flag, which then flies. We are racing in the PRL Ferrari Fixed Challenge. Looked like a reasonable jump from David Cristelli, but he was unable to make up any places on Duval and Bergstrom, who make a slight bit of contact coming into turn 1. Duval goes a little bit deep. It is still 1-2 for Clow Valve. Eric Luke has protected that position very nicely, but Alec Bergstrom now up into third. And round the outside of Kenny Duval, he goes a little bit wide, and there's contact there between Bergstrom and Duval. They are both off.
Oh, Bergstrom and Duval out of that. I was expecting a lot out of them for this race. They're going to have to get back around to the pit and hopefully do something from a lap down. That's going to be difficult, though, because that was a lap 1 incident.
And that is very significant for second place in the championship for Alec Bergstrom as well. He couldn't afford a DNF or a bad points finish at this point, but the top two, nice and clean as they make their way through the corkscrew for the first time. David Cristelli is going to be very happy as a result of that incident. He has moved up into the top 3, and he's got a nice gap back to the likes of Dave Peterson and Joseph Tebben. Doesn't seem like he's under much pressure at all here as they come to the end of lap 1.
I think everybody kind of settled in. There was a little bit of uncertainty, and we can take a look at that replay here shortly to see what happened. But right now, everyone's kind of calming down, getting into their position. They're going to make their run up from here to try to settle everything in, and then we'll see some more movement towards the end of the race.
Yeah, all about getting into a rhythm here at Laguna Seca. Mclaughlin just driving away from the rest of the field, as we've seen from him many times throughout this season, and keeping it nice and clean through the first sector of this lap. This extension was built in the late 80s in an attempt to bring Formula One to Laguna Seca. Obviously, that didn't end up working out, but it made the track it made the track even more difficult than it already is. Those flat corners, got to be careful with that. Unfortunately, it looks like Eric Luke has dropped for some reason. Maybe connection. I think that might be a big problem there, Michael.
That could be not exactly what you want to have happen here. But, you know, connection issues in iRacing, that is going to be kind of the iRacing equivalent of a cut tire. But I want to go back right now and take a look at that replay from that lap 1 incident.
Yes, so Alec Bergstrom has already claimed responsibility for this, apologising to Kenny Duval for dipping a wheel into the sand. You'll see it here. Bergstrom goes a bit deep, and the traction control kicks in. Duval had nowhere to go.
Yeah, there was nothing either one of those guys could have done at that point. The track, or the dirt, the non-track part of the track, just kind of takes over. And as he's coming around here, you see he's got a good line. He's clean, just ticks right there, perfect in there, but he runs a little bit wide, and then the dirt just decides, nope, we're not going to go straight anymore, and it gives you that little oversteer, and it's really unfortunate for both of those drivers.
Well, we can confirm it was a connection issue for Eric Luke. He dropped from the server, but he has reconnected. Unfortunately, that's going to cost him a lot of time. iRacing automatically gives you a tow to the pits if you drop from the server, so he's going to lose at least 2 minutes, I would say. But that benefits David Cristelli. He has moved up into second place. He's going to get a big haul of points tonight if he can keep this together.
Yeah, and points is really the name of the game. If you can get points, especially as teammates, as we're looking here on our P1 and P2, then go back and take a look a little bit deeper in the field. With those two up front, that's going to be a massive haul for Clovalve Racing.
Indeed it is. But we check out Matthias Arangua and Sean Duhamel, the closest battle on the track at the moment. Arangua up 4 places now. Obviously, the issues for Bergstrom, Duval, and Luke have benefited him, but he's also gained 1 position on track as a result of the lap 1 shenanigans, and working out very nicely. He, along with David Boucher, gaining 4 places, but Charles Sumner is already making up quite a bit of time as well, up 5 places from where he started. As Duval is out of the pits, so is Eric Luke. But have a look at that damage on the front of Duval's car. That is not going to benefit him at all.
Nope, it will not. But I want to take a quick glance at the back of the field. We've got a little something developing back there. We've got David Herbert with Jack Clark. Jack is trying to close in. Oh, looks like Semkovic had a little bit of an off there. Didn't see that happen. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay as he comes around, trying to get that apex dead on, puts the power down. Looks okay from here. Holding a little bit tight, goes into his braking zone, comes around, and then boom, catches that inside sausage curb, and that could end the day. That one's pretty hard. That may have messed up his suspension.
Yeah, potentially. It was the corner entry that was the big issue for him there. It looked like potentially the rear getting loose on entry. As we go back to live pictures now with Semkovic just ahead of Charles Sumner. Semkovic now back down into the position he started in 11th place. Aside from Nick Mclaughlin, the only driver now with no real change of position from the grid.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement on the grid so far, with a couple of them going down, but pretty much everyone has moved up. Our biggest mover at the moment, at least as far front as we get, is going to be 5 places up for David Boucher. He's moved up quite a bit. That's a nice place for him to be. As he moves up 1 more, he is now 6 places up as he just went around Donald Olson.
And it looked like he got that done in the first section of the lap, coming through turn 3. Was it an off for Donald Olsen? Because it seems there was quite a gap between them at the time. I think when we see Olsen next, he's going to be in the gravel. Yes, he is. So losing a lot of momentum there. And then Boucher sweeping around the outside in the braking zone to take that position. We're now under half an hour to go in this race. And it seems that it's all about consistency. It's all about keeping it out of the gravel. And that's exactly what Nick Mclaughlin is doing. It was the fastest car on track last lap, but the fastest lap of the race belongs to David Cristelli behind him. Cristelli doing a 121.138. So there's definitely pace there in that number 29.
He is trying to put down some burners. He's got something figured out here with this track. And sometimes, because of the nature of this track and the way things change a little bit from lap to lap, if you just nail everything right, you can make up a lot of time, just like you did on that one. Now, also notice Mclaughlin may have been a little bit off. Well, actually, Mclaughlin picked up some time on that last lap, on lap 5. So it'll be interesting to watch how this goes. This could be a fight coming up, but we have an off. This is Charles Sumner. Off, he is back in P13, getting a little bit wide. I think we've seen a couple of cars go wide there.
Yeah, I think we have, and it looks like for Sumner it was the exit of turn 4 here. Just caught the sand and a little bit of an overcorrection there as a result. A big spin for Sumner. He's now back to 13th, and it looks like Semkovic had issues too.
Yeah, I was going to say there was a car behind him. I couldn't quite catch the number, but I see it now. That is Semkovic. Just not having a good day. Some days the racing is great. Some days racing is still pretty darn good because, I mean, you're racing, right? So,
yeah. Yes, the default state of driving a car at speed around a racetrack is definitely a nice one to be in. Well, Mclaughlin continuing to extend his lead now by over 2 seconds over David Cristelli, and Dave Peterson moving up into 3rd place. We'll be very happy with that, but Mclaughlin is just chill as ever here out in front, and this is a position that he is very familiar with. Let's check out the onboard through the corkscrew, because, you know, I mean, if you know American racing, you know the corkscrew, and it's a huge drop here. It's so important to get the exit right and manage the oversteer through that dip.
it is, and a lot of people, it's interesting. I was speaking with one of the very well-known coaches worldwide in another series. We were talking about this track and how people overemphasize the importance of the corkscrew, and we didn't intend for people to think it's not important. It is, and it is an iconic turn. You have to do it well, but there's not a lot of time to be made up there. So once you've got your rhythm getting through that corner, you've got it down, and that's where it's going to be. You're not going to improve much on it, but really the next place is going to be turn 9. That's really where people make up the most time. And of course the braking into turn 2 as we watch these guys fly through turn 1, get into the braking zone. This is turn 2, this double hairpin left.
Battle for 8th place. It's Olsen, Boucher, and Hoskins. Olsen not able to keep up with Joey Tebbin up ahead. Look at him streaking away there. But this 3-car fight is certainly going to hot up here with Boucher and Hoskins now very close. Can Hoskins pull a move here into turn 5? Well, not quite close enough to get it done, and losing a bit of time in the middle of the corner as well, but all just catching the gravel there is David Boucher. Will he be able to get turn 7 right? Just a little bit wide, and that is the opportunity that Hoskins could need, as it looks like Joey Tebbin has dropped just ahead of those guys. Looks like he's now classified behind them. So that is an extra position gained for all of those guys. Oh my goodness, that looks like a pretty big incident there. Is that Eric Luke?
I was just trying to take a look at who that was. That may be... We'll have to get another look at that real quick to see who that was. But there's a lot of stuff going on there. Oh, Joey, that's going to leave a mark, my friend. And yeah.
Sympathy spin. So Eric Luke gets sprawled across the racetrack, but Yeah, I mean, the general advice is to hold the brakes when you spin, but I think Eric Luke made a good decision there to just let himself roll back off the racetrack. Joey Tebbin carrying now a lot of damage as a result of that hit to the wall. And once again, that's another part of this track. It's pretty much every single corner exit you've got to be careful at. The curbs are quite narrow here, so you dip one into the sand, and you are headed straight for the wall. Brian Hoskins now still trying to get past David Boucher here as Donald Olsen streaks away. It's looking to me like Hoskins is the one with the pace here. Boucher has gained more positions. He's benefited from everything that's gone on so far in this race, but it seems that Hoskins is able to just drive that car a little faster around this lap. Unfortunately, it can be very hard to pass at Laguna Seca, particularly around the top half of the circuit.
Yeah, we've got two really well-known passing zones here. That's going to be probably into turn 2. Most of the time, if you get a really good run off this corner right here, you can watch as this is getting set up. I think we may actually see a pass into turn 2, unless maybe he's going to back out of this. Next spot, though, is actually going up the hill. If you get a beautiful run out of turn 6, and depending on what the person does right for you is, oh, we're going to see a pass here? Nope, not quite. It looks like he's going to be able to hold this off as they go into turn 3, but too wide through 3, he's around. He got around. Wow, what a pass.
Good stuff there from Brian Hoskins. Boucher running a bit deep into the Andretti hairpin allowed him to set up that maneuver, and Boucher, of course, wanting to give as much room as possible, compromising his line on the inside of turn 3. So that is the position sorted for 8th, at least for the time being. If there's a mistake for Hoskins, then, oh, well, hey, speak of the devil and he shall appear. Well,
Right
they're going to
there.
go side by side into the corkscrew. This is going to be difficult. Boucher gets just past him there on the way into the corner, and a little bit deep there for Brian Hoskins.
And you see, that's, oh, wow, this is just a comedy of errors that's turning out good. But you see what I mean about wanting to be on the left side as you come through turn 7. You're right there, ready to go. You're in the brake zone, actually. The brake zone starts before turn 7. Look how much gap we have on these guys right here, though. As we watch them, they're coming down. It looks like up into, yep, oh, getting a little bit wide. Trying to head up the hill now, and look at the speed differential. Now into the brake zone, bang, right here. Able to just pinch it off and get to that inside. That inside is actually where you want to be when you are battling that hard.
Worked out well for David Boucher, but he's going to have to try and minimize those mistakes because, again, it does seem that Brian Hoskins is the pacier of the two. And it's going to be round 2 now for these guys with 20 minutes to go in this race. Let's see how either of them nail the exit here. Looks like Hoskins got a slightly better run out of turn 6. Will they avoid clattering that curb on the inside of turn 7? Yes, they will.
Yes, they will, but look at this run. This is another beautiful run up that hill going into the corkscrew, getting it down as we watch from this beautiful camera angle. They come by now. The next opportunity to pass here, so going into 8 or through 7 into 8 is one really good opportunity. The next coming right here as you go into 11. You can get a crazy run out of turn 10, but not quite close enough this time. He's still a couple of tenths back. You need to be about 2 tenths as you go through turn 10 to try to make that happen.
On board here with Brian Hoskins. We'll see how much he closes up in the braking zone for the Andretti hairpin. You can use that concrete on the outside to sort of widen your entry in, but the way this turn goes, sometimes sticking to the inside is better. And once again, David Boucher a little bit deep into the second part of the Andretti hairpin, compromises his line through turn 3. Hoskins not quite able to pick up the throttle to take advantage of that run. Oh, just clattering the curb on the inside once again. And these drivers are really pushing hard, aren't they? You'd think they were battling for the win at this stage, but it's only for 8th and 9th. Oh, here we go. Mistake there for Boucher, and I don't think Hoskins is going to want to go up the inside into turn 7 there. Definitely wouldn't have been far up enough to make the move anyway, but you can see that David Boucher is struggling for consistency a bit.
Yeah, if you're going to make a mistake on any turn, turn 5 is probably the one you can get away with it the most. If you do it on 6, as we saw, somebody's going to come get you. It looks like Jack Clark out of P11, he was just on the tail end of that battle we were just watching, has had an incident, and he is going to have to tow back to the pits.
Yeah, and this is on the exit of turn 7 once again. Very narrow exit at this corner. Just runs a little bit wide of the curb and then onto the gravel. Traction control kicks in and the rear end goes, and that is the front bumper making an appointment with Dr. Concrete.
Yeah, Dr. Concrete always has a hard story to tell. That was bad. I know. That was really bad.
Oh, God.
Oh, but we got to get back to this race with Hoskins and Boucher. That is switched again. Those guys have flip-flopped one more time.
Yeah, looks like Hoskins ahead of Boucher now, and I wonder if that was due to, once again, Boucher running wide in the Andretti hairpin. Either way, Hoskins has now gained over a second over him, and providing he doesn't make a mistake, he should be able to hold on to that position. Let's check it out once again here on the replay as, yeah, here we go. Oh, a bit deep there for Brian Hoskins, but Boucher once again wide at the second apex, and it's a repeat of the move we saw a while back, trying to sweep around the outside of turn 3, gets it done. A lot of room being given there by both drivers. That's what we like to see. Nice, clean racing.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit of overdriving, which is why he missed both opportunities to apex there. But now coming around turn 11, this has opened up quite a bit. And now into the pits out of 7th, we have Arango. He's trying to get out of the pit lane now. Let's see. Looks like he's going to hold on to P9. Can he keep that one? Maybe end up as P10. We'll have to watch and see who's coming down. There comes Charles Sumner right now, who's currently in 10th place. This is challenging. This pit exit right here, we were talking about this a little bit ago. It is so narrow, and it's very difficult to blend in and not be online. But I think he did a beautiful job there to hold on to the position. He's going to be in P9.
Good stuff there from Matthias Arangua, and I have to say, before he came into the pits, he was facing an awful lot of pressure from Sean Duhamel, so I think Arangua making a very prescient decision to get into the lane there, thinking, you know, it's about time for me to pit. I'm involved in a battle. If I can pit now and get myself out in some clean air, I can try and make up some time to keep Duhamel behind me for when he inevitably pits. Meanwhile, looks like Nick Mclaughlin's lead has diminished slightly. When we last checked in, it was at about 2 seconds. Now it's at 1.5. David Cristelli was the fastest car on track last lap, 1 minute 21.5. That's a 10th faster than Mclaughlin.
Yeah, Mclaughlin may be in Sunday drive mode right here too. He knows he has pace, or he at least believes he has pace. But you know, when you got somebody closing down on you like that and it catches you by surprise, it can cause overdriving problems. So honestly, Nick, I don't expect him to worry about overdriving. He is a cool-headed driver, so we'll see how it turns out though. You've got some interesting pressure being applied by Cristelli at this point.
As Boucher comes into the lane after being passed by Brian Hoskins. Another good decision there, I think. You know, once you've lost the position, might as well get your pit stop done. It's a 40% fuel tank restriction in the Ferraris, which does force a pit stop, and we've seen the majority of stops so far run around 11 seconds or thereabouts.
Yeah, and thinking back around Duhamel, he is going to make another round. He's going past start finish right now, as we see, heading down through turn 1, down the hill to turn 2. So he's going to hold on out here a little bit. He is not reacting to the pit stop that we saw a moment ago. So was that smart? Was that not smart? Hard to say. We'll find out in a few laps when he does finally get into the pits.
Yeah, I think he might be just deciding to go long, maybe thinking about the long run here. trying to extend a potential gap here. And as we check him out, coming up to turn 7, Duhamel has got Eric Dubé up ahead of him in P4. And speaking of Eric Dubé, I think he's going to be happy to see that Alec Bergstrom has not returned to the circuit. Remember, Dubé was 3rd in the championship and could potentially gain a ton of points here on Alec Bergstrom if he ends up finishing where he is.
Yeah, and as good as Alec Bergstrom is, making up 15 laps is going to be a challenge. I don't know that's within the realm of possibility today. But watching here at our P4 driver, that's Sean Duhamel working his way. And in the pits, we have Dave Peterson out of 5th position. So let's see where he's going to come out and how long his pit stops are. Looking through the list, people are around 10 to 11 seconds and around 35 seconds cone to cone. So watching as Dave Peterson comes in here, he's going to be right at, let's say, 11.5 seconds on his stationary time, cone to cone, 34.4. That's a good stop.
Yeah, indeed it is. That is the second quickest run through the lane that we've seen so far. Dave Peterson, 0.2 quicker cone to cone, but still, that's a very good pit stop there from the Viking Hot Rod Racing driver. Looks like Brian Hoskins, Charles Sumner, and David Herbert making moves into the pits as well. That's Sumner's stop completed. Herbert coming in just behind him. Hoskins has completed his stop, and it's the quickest we've seen so far, 10.1 seconds according to my timing, and there go the top 2 into the lane as well. Let's hope that Nick Mclaughlin has a smooth pit stop here, otherwise he could stand a chance of losing the lead to David Cristelli.
And Duhamel is going to stay out, which is going to put him into the lead for at least a lap as we watch him down here go past. There he went, just on the right side of your screen. That's going to put him into the lead for at least a lap now.
Looks like a nice stop there for Nick Mclaughlin, 9.5 seconds. It was the same for David Cristelli, though. Mclaughlin a 10th faster cone to cone, though, so he has gained just a little bit there over David Cristelli. The gap is at 2.4 seconds as they make their way out of the pit lane. So the only driver yet to pit now is indeed Sean Duhamel. And I would say that we'd expect him to come into the pits at the end of this lap. With that 40% fuel tank restriction, there's no way you can make the entire 35 minutes without making a stop.
Yeah, this car doesn't have the ability to handle a mode low enough, a fuel mode low enough to do that. And with the lap times he's been turning, I'd be surprised if he was running in any type of fuel mode other than full tilt boogie. So as we watch him coming now through turn 9, just off the curb, off that inside, coming through turn 10. This is a quick one right here. You got to put the hammer down, and he is going to make the nose into the pit lane, gets big on the brakes, pulls the car around nice and tight, gets on the throttle, and then onto that pit limiter. That is going to be him into the pits. Now, where is Mclaughlin? Mclaughlin is only about 4 seconds back. He's going to close that up and retake the lead.
Well, there he goes. Back into the lead for Nick Mclaughlin, and with a 2-second lead over David Cristelli. Good stuff there, and things are going all to plan for the Cloud Valve racing driver who leads this championship. And you would say, with Bergstrom now out of the running, is the favorite to take the Ferrari Fixed Challenge title for 2022 Season 2. I think that was Semkovic spun at the exit of turn 3. Just saw him on the side of the frame. Bit of a problem there as the pit stop is now completed for Sean Duhamel. He comes out in 6th place, just behind Matthias Arangua. And we were thinking about that battle earlier. Duhamel was putting a lot of pressure on Arangua before the pit stops, and it seems that going long has cost him a little bit. Comparing the cone-to-cone times, actually looks like Arangua was slower through the pits, both in the box and through the entire lane. So the fact that he has been able to keep that lead, I think that all comes down to Duhamel entering and exiting.
It could have been that pit entry, that hard left-hand turn. You have to, it's the jog to the right and then back to the left. Depending on how well you do that, that part is not timed. What is timed is the cone, which is right after that left, and then, of course, the exit. So right as you go under the bridge, that's where the next set of cones is. But taking a look at Sumner here, Sumner putting some pressure on Boucher. He is trying to close this down. Charles Sumner wants a position.
That he does. Looking at a top 9 finish here is Charles after not participating, or not setting a time at least, in the qualifying session. And we saw that Boucher in his battle with Brian Hoskins earlier was very easily flustered. I think that Sumner will be hoping for the same here. Look at how much he gained there through the corkscrew, absolutely nailing it. And then through turn 9 they come. Oh, and that's a mistake there for Boucher. Sumner could go round the outside of turn 10. He does indeed. Boucher backs off and lets him go. He knew the position was lost.
Yeah, Sumner there with the Little Buffalo Gals, going a little bit wide, though, as he gets into turn 11. That's going to allow Boucher to catch back up a little bit, but I think it was just a little bit too much of a gap that he was able to place before he got into that position in turn 11.
Well, Sumner now up into 9th place, still the most positions gained in the field at 8. So that Tropicana Ferrari is going to be flying out there as he tries to catch up to Brian Hoskins up ahead. It's a big gap, though. Looks like Hoskins is about 11 seconds ahead of Sumner. Checking back in with Nick Mclaughlin. The gap is now back down to about 1.5 seconds versus David Cristelli. So, yeah, I think Mclaughlin is just being chill at the moment, just driving at about 8 or 9 tenths of his true pace. And if Cristelli gets close enough, then he'll start to pull out the big guns.
Yeah, I've been in this position where Nick is before, and you don't want to overdrive the car, but you don't want to underdrive the car. And that might seem odd. Oh, well, I can just back off. You back off too much, you're going to lose your timing. You lose your timing, you lose the race, because you're going to... Ooh, wow, that was dead on the edge. That was dangerously close. He may be trying to open it back up here because it is down to 1.5 seconds. This was just over 2, about 2.2 seconds. About a lap and a half, 2 laps ago. So it looks like Cristelli's trying to press the issue. Mclaughlin is trying to open this back up, but he's having maybe a little bit of an issue, although back up to 1.8 seconds as they work their way down into the final corner. Let's see where they are. Puts down the power, gets a little bit of that green on the outside there. And actually Mclaughlin, using the exit of the track much better, opens that back up to 2 seconds as they cross the start-finish line.
That was a huge gain there. It looks like fastest car on track that time around, Nick Mclaughlin, 21.5 versus a 22.081 for David Cristelli. You see there that that Cristelli actually was gaining quite a bit on Mclaughlin over the last couple of laps, but all of that hard work has been undone thanks to that final turn.
Yeah, that was actually set up probably in turn 10 even. It looked like it was getting opened up a little bit there, and I think we may have seen some overdriving from Cristelli. However, Cristelli has clawed back 3 tenths as they work their way through the middle section of this track. They're going back up the hill into turn 7, right before the crest of the hill here. They go into brakes pretty hard as they now go into Corkscrew. This is closed up to 1.3 seconds. Cristelli is really good on this part of the track, and that may simply be that Mclaughlin is trying to not burn out his tires. He wants to keep his tires to the end, and it could be short fuel too. But both of these guys, remember, their pit times were almost identical.
Yeah, 9.7-ish seconds each. So if there was a fuel issue, then they'd both be having the same difficulty as they cross the line. And once again, it is that final corner that is making all of the difference for David Cristelli. The gap is back out to 2 seconds as they enter turn 1 once again. So I think the case here for Mclaughlin is around that top half of the circuit where it's so easy to dip a tire into the sand and spin out. He's just backing off a little bit, making sure that he keeps it on the black stuff. Meanwhile, Cristelli is pulling out all the stops here in this part of the circuit. It's out to 2.3 as they enter turn 6. Let's keep an eye on Cristelli as he makes his way through turn 7. Tries his best to widen up the exit, goes a tiny bit wide of the anti-cut curb, and it seems that the gap is staying pretty consistent at the moment, so maybe Cristelli's car has given him its best.
And he may have overused his tires a little bit to get to where he is. Remember, this was a pretty big gap before, and he was kind of burning them up to get to where he is. I think he's looking in his mirror and sees nothing of David Peterson back there. That's a huge gap between those two. We're looking at about 12 seconds. I don't think there's anywhere on this course where you can see somebody 12 seconds behind you. So he's probably sitting in there with the 3-minute mark right now, going, I think I may be able to settle into second place and be happy.
Yeah, I think maintaining a second place finish is a prime goal here for David Cristelli at the moment, but it's still on for third. Dave Peterson now facing up against Eric Dubé as there's less than 3 minutes to go. It's all about these last couple of laps, making sure that you have everything in order and you're able to get those entries, those exits, those apex speeds absolutely down pat. Peterson gaining a bit of time on Eric Dubé on the exits of these corners, and checking out their last laps. Dubé took 5 or 6 tenths of a second out of Dave Peterson on the last lap. So if he can keep that kind of pace up, and if Peterson makes a mistake, then that could be a change for the podium.
Indeed it could. We're looking at the final step of the podium here, from the hopeful final step of the podium. This is going to be a tight battle. This is our closest battle on the track right now, though. Eric and Dave, they are going at it, but Dave keeps opening this up to over a second, and then under braking, it looks like Eric's able to close this up pretty well. It's really coming off the corner, though, and this is one of the things I work with my clients on, is they're so focused on braking and braking at that last possible moment. But wait a minute, what happened?
Cristelli, he's gone back into the pits. Oh dear, something's gone very wrong for Cristelli there. A 4.3 second stop. I think he was tight on fuel.
That looks like a splash and dash. Oh boy, they had the same timing. Now Nick Mclaughlin, who's been out in the front of this race the whole time, can he afford to do a splash and dash, or does he just lift and coast like a monster here, and lift about here to get into this corner where you would normally brake? It's wow. This could be a very interesting finish, because they both stopped for the same amount of time, telling me they took the same amount of fuel on.
You know what I think? Considering Nick McLaughlin's usually quite superior pace to the rest of the field, I get the feeling that he's been lifting and coasting this whole time.
You make a good point there. I think you're right. He probably has been, but here's the finish.
White flag. We've still got 15 seconds on the clock as he crosses the line. And with that 11-second lead now, if Nick McLaughlin has less than a lap of fuel left, well, he can afford to just crawl to the finish if he wants. Meanwhile, Cristelli has come out in 6th place. That is absolutely heartbreaking there for Cristelli. Could have been on the podium, but he'll have to settle for that 6th place finish at the moment. It's still on between Dave Peterson and Eric Dubé, those final 2 positions now on the podium. And they are together in a battle on my timing. This could be it. Dubé was a bit slower on the last lap than Peterson, though. So barring a mistake from Peterson, I think that might be the podium settled.
It could be, and both of these guys should be very happy to be on the podium. They were fighting for third. Looks like Spencer Simkovich is telling these guys to go on past, go on past. He's not going to get in their way.
Yeah, very wise move there from Spencer Semkovich, especially in that section of the circuit where you do not want to be having to navigate a lap car around the outside. It looks to me like Peterson might have secured this, barring a mistake in the last couple of corners. No mistakes, meanwhile, from Nick Mclaughlin. A perfectly managed race here for the championship leader, and he is going to extend his championship lead going into the final round with yet another win here at Laguna Seca. It is going to be his 6th win of the season.
6th win as we take a look back now at Peterson working his way across the finish line. That is P2 as Dupé right behind him. That was a pretty close finish. They were only about 1.2, 1.3 seconds apart from each other.
Working that one out, Cristelli is going to cross the line ultimately in 6th, but it could have been a 2nd place finish there for Cristelli. He'll be ruining that. If he was just a little bit longer in the pits, he might not have been able to get close to Mclaughlin, but he would probably have secured 2nd. Either way, Mclaughlin, a fantastic finish for him, and I think setting things up into the final round of the season, Mclaughlin, there's pretty much no challenge for him in terms of the championship now.
I don't think anybody has, even mathematically, pretty much there's no chance. I would expect him to show up to the next race and perform just as well as he did today. At a minimum, be on the podium. But honestly, I think mathematically he probably has this locked up.
Well, there are the results then. Nick Mclaughlin 11.8 seconds ahead of Dave Peterson, with Eric Dubé rounding out the podium. Matthias Arangua finishes in 4th place. He'll be very happy with that one, holding off Sean Duhamel in 5th. David Cristelli comes home in 6th with Donald Olson, Brian Hoskins, Charles Sumner in 9th with the most positions gained, with David Boucher rounding out the top 10.
Spencer Simkovich brings in P11, doing a beautiful job there on that last lap to not interfere with the last 2 places on the podium. Wonderfully done. David Hebert, 1 place behind him, Eric Luke, Kenny Duval, Jack Clark, Duval, Clark, Joey Tebben, and Alec Bergstrom, all multiple laps down.
Well, that was a real shame for the likes of Duval, Clark, Tebben, and Bergstrom, missing out on a great deal of points. So now we think about figuring out where these drivers are, because we'd like to have a chat to them before we go on to the break here. We have more racing coming up very shortly here on the Global Sim Racing channel in terms of Formula 3 action, but we will go to Nick Mclaughlin here, our race winner. A fantastic drive indeed from the championship leader. G'day, Nick. Once again, it is a P1 finish for you. A short pit stop, though. Were you lifting and coasting in the second half?
G'day, gentlemen. It's not really. I didn't have a whole lot of wiggle room to play with. Cristelli was all over me, so I kept the hammer down as best as I could and just calculated my fuel really well.
It did seem like you definitely had the pace there, and certainly the pressure is almost off for you in terms of the championship as well, with your closest rival ending up retiring.
I missed what happened to him. I'll have to go back and check the replay, but yeah, that's really huge in the championship standings for sure.
Indeed it is. Well, coming into the final round, we race at Okayama for the final round. What are your thoughts on that place? A very popular track on iRacing, being free content along with Laguna Seca. Plenty of good overtaking opportunities around that place.
You know what? Okayama could be a lot of fun for the season finale. I'm looking forward to it. It's not a specialty track by any means. Laguna, I actually really enjoy it, and it's got a really fun flow to it. But yeah, no, Okayama should be good fun next week.
We're looking forward to it as well. Before we let you go, Nick, anyone you'd like to thank from your garage?
Yeah, thanks to Clovalve Racing. Put the car under us every week. Shout out to Eric. He had a rough race, but always good to have the teammates in the race with us. Cristelli, unfortunate. I think he had a fuel miscalculation. Otherwise, it would have been a strong finish for him. And yeah, thanks GSRC for the broadcast and PRL for the league.
That's Nick Mclaughlin there, race winner and championship favourite going into the final round of the Ferrari Fixed Challenge. Next up, it was an excellent finish for Viking Hot Rod Racing. Number 35, Dave Peterson, is stood by with Michael.
Well, Dave, what was going on there at the end of the race when, in your head at least, when you saw that Cristelli was in the pits and you were suddenly in P2?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I was so busy watching Eric in my mirror that I didn't even know. I didn't realize I finished second until after the race. One of my teammates asked me, he said, "Where'd you finish?" And I said, "Third." And Sean said, "No, you finished second." And that's the first I'd noticed, because Eric was running me. He was running me tough.
Indeed, he was. I think you guys took up a major portion of the broadcast, because that was some exciting racing. It was waxing and waning through the whole thing. He would close up, then you would pull it out. It looked like you had a little better exit off the corners. Was that just because the way this track falls, it works more for your style, or was he over focused on the entries, or how do you think that played out?
I can't really say, honestly, but I noticed that too. I seem to be better off, but I tend to kind of roll through the corner. I don't really brake all that hard, and I roll through and I pick up the throttle about midway when I can. So I don't know, that might have been helping me.
Well, it's one of the things I focus on when I'm coaching folks, is make sure your corner exits are good. And you had that in spades today. So very nice job. Who do you have to thank for your P2 today?
My teammates from Viking Hot Rod Racing, and a good car. Put a plug out to the Wounded Warrior Project. Big deal for me. And kind of hated that the guys from EVR weren't there. It knocked a little the intensity out of it, but it was a good team finish for us, so that worked out well. But yeah, just my teammates.
Well, thanks for putting on a wonderful show for us today. That was a lot of fun watching you two go at it. But now we get to talk to the other half of that, and that means we've got our P3 standing by with Reese.
We have Eric Dubé is in the box with us now. G'day, Eric, and congratulations on your podium finish earlier on in the race, fighting to get into third there versus Dave Peterson. What was that battle like from your perspective?
I feel like Dave was faster in the first part of the track, and I was faster in the last part. We had the same pace. We're like for 3 seconds gap for at least before the pit, and I think I have a better pit than him, and that was a close battle for sure.
What's Laguna Seca like for you? It's a very difficult track to get right at the best of times, and no tarmac runoffs to save you if you go wide.
I think for me the secret was sometimes the slowest is the fastest. So I think that was my case. I ran it safe. I got no X, so I know the championship is pretty tight between me, Bergstrom, and Cherelli. So I don't know what happens for both of those guys, but it's gonna be interesting for the final event next week.
Yeah, if anything, the points gap at least is going to be massively closed up between you and Alec Bergstrom with his retirement on the first lap. Either way, Eric, thank you very much for joining us. Anyone you'd like to thank for your podium?
Sure, I'd like to thank you guys for the great broadcast. PRL and my teammate Tommy Brisson will help me a lot this week.
Eric Dubé there with a P3 finish in number 87 in a round where consistent finishes were really important. Well, that sets things up for a great final round at Okayama for the Ferraris, but now we go to the penultimate round of Formula 3. Stay with us here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client, and like we did today. We install a D-box system, we install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're going to give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much going to be a turnkey. So he's going to press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware. And that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Well, it's time for Formula 3 action, and what a track they are racing at here. I think probably my favorite circuit in the United States, Road Atlanta. Been around since the 1970s, plenty of twists and turns. Let's find out more about it with the track guide.
Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track.
Well, Michael, with your real-life racing experience, you obviously have quite the perspective here on this magnificent circuit in Georgia.
Indeed, I do. This was one of the first big tracks for me when you go way back to the 80s when I first got a real taste of racing. It was here at Road Atlanta that was sort of my home. I lived in Charlotte, but it was just a short drive down at the Interstate 85 to get to Road Atlanta, and I really did cut my teeth here. There's so much to do here. Every corner has a story about how you have to take it. Now, back then, turn 10, a little bit different. It wasn't quite at that back and forth that you have now, but still exciting over these 2.5 miles and a little over 4 kilometers. And I think the biggest things we're going to see is probably passes up towards the top of the hill, also going into turn 10, and you might even see some passes going into turn 1. The track is wide enough there, but you've got to get it done before you get up into turn 3.
Indeed, you can definitely run side by side through that turn 1. It's almost like Cops at Silverstone, but with elevation change. Let's check out the championship standings in Formula 3 to start things off. Michael Diaz, 19 points ahead of Alex Fournier, who had a bit of a resurgence last round at Hockenheim, grabbing a podium. Justin Negrete and Michael Overbay, meanwhile, fighting for third place and only a point apart. Same can be said for Byron Daly and Robert Ridgway in 5th and 6th. But have a look there down towards the back end of the top 10. Fernando Rodriguez and Max Shabley equal on points. They'll both be looking for a good finish here tonight.
And taking a look at the AM driver standings, up at the top of our list here, 191 points, Greg Doucette with Matthew Gunderson right behind him, about 4 points back. Another four points will bring you to John